Hey guys, we're live for Garden 30. Garden 30 is probably going to go more than 30, but I've had a number of people mention the canning course and then still haven't canned anything. So I'm doing beans and I'll talk about whatever you say in the comments. But if you don't say anything in the comments, we're just going to sit here and play an internet game of chicken where I snap beans and don't say anything. And occasionally a neighbor will walk in and talk to me probably, because I got a neighbor over here helping me get ready for a barbecue on Saturday. I'm smoking a butt. That's what I'm doing for Saturday. How long do you guys smoke your butts? 24 hours, 12 hours? Like, what do you do? Curious. Green beans take forever to can. It's this part that takes forever. Like corn, you just off the things. And my thing is, if you cut them, you know what happens? You know what? I wonder if our sound's on. Oh, good. The sound's on. Yeah, if you cut them, and there happens every so often one bean on a stringless vine of stringless beans will have strings anyway. And if you cut them, you get mouthy, stringy things. So, as I said, not going to just talk freestyle this whole time, but if there's something you want to talk about, put it in the comments and I'll talk about it. But we're going to pressure can because I'm pretty sure we can pressure can without blowing the house up today. Usually I do this outside. Well, I do this part inside, but I can outside to put the heat outside. But I just have the air conditioner blasting today so we could do this live. When I get one I don't like this one has like, I don't know if you can see. Anyway, it has like little brown spots on it. I don't can those. Good afternoon, DH. Welcome to the live stream. We're just sort of doing a casual thing here. If you want me to talk about something, let me know or tell me how your day was. How was your day? Of course, there's always like 2-minute delay after I ask a question and an answer comes in. I haven't done a Garden 30 in a while, really. Usually my Garden 30s, I'm in the actual garden, but this is the same thing. It's like dealing with the garden. Are they sugar snap peas? No, these are green beans. Sugar snap peas are early in the year for us in Tennessee. And my goal is to have 60 jars of canned green beans for the winter. Last winter we had 50 something. And I went through every one of them except for 3 that I misplaced because we also did construction on my property and things got stored everywhere. And it turned out I unpacked a box the other day and I found 3 jars. So I already have 3 jars of my 60 jar goal. So tell me, guys, are you guys afraid of pressure canning? Any of you like hesitant to do it because of all the stories you've heard about people blowing things up? Also, if anybody's on my social medias, let them know that we're live. I mean, this is just a conversation. It's not a show or anything, but it's a Garden 30. If I do this live, then I hold myself accountable to getting it done. That's one of the things. Day was good working on changing RO water filters and tank. Yep, I need to do the filter cleanse on my Kangen water machine. I was just talking with Louise yesterday about, like, is all this maintenance necessary? You're supposed to clean them once a week and stuff, or once every 2 weeks. And she said if you run the beauty water cycle, which is 6.0 pH, which is slightly acidic, it cleans off the plates that do the electrolysis, so the electrolysis plates. And then you don't have to necessarily pull it apart and clean the filters and all that. So that's, and I have pretty hard waters, so I've been running the beauty water cycle from time to like once a day or once every other day, just to, because I know that I have calcium in my water. DH, have I met you in person? I'm curious because I don't recognize who you are by your YouTube handle. Since DH is the only one commenting, that's who gets answers. Y'all, if you want me to talk about something or have something to say, just throw it in the comments. This bowl's almost full. And then I run into where do I find bowls issue. So this year in my garden, I had an issue with green beans not doing well. I think I need a new tank. Trying to find a tank that will fit under the sink. I don't know. I don't have reverse osmosis here. Nope, we've never met. Well, are we going to meet at Self-Reliance Festival this time? Or are you like super far away and don't want to come? Yeah, reverse osmosis machines. I almost put one in here. I have an irradiator filter I could hook up that I've had for like 10 years and never hooked up. Because there are some things living in my water. But now I have, and I just run my stuff through a Berkey. But now I have the Kangen water machine and some pre-filters. So that's cool. And they knew what was in my water when they sent me those. So the funny thing is I've been drinking my water. Never get sick off it. I actually get a little sick when I drink other people's water, like city water, when I'm out and about. So I always bring, like, if I'm just driving somewhere, I'll bring gallons of the water. And then, of course, I sport them, like, from doing events in these, like, former booze bottles because they're glass. I like those. But I've got 2 bushels of beans to can. And the way I got these is I was at the farmer's market and I was like, my beans aren't amounting to a hill of beans. So one of my friends went out and picked his beans yesterday. So these are a day old. And he was like, do you want 2 bushels? And I was like, yes, I do. I definitely want 2 bushels. I'm going to have to look up the processing time for this because one of my canning rules for canning safety, oops, somebody's walking in. One of my canning rules is to, you can talk to me. I'm just doing a Garden 30 live stream, which is just my way of being accountable to getting my stuff done. You gonna come in here and cool down?
No, I just need some baggies.
Oh.
I don't want to get in there.
Baggies, like trash bags?
No, like no.
Ziplocs? Yeah, right there. Tracy's helping me make the outside look awesome for the barbecue. You can say hi to everybody if you want to, since you're all glammed up today. She put a bag over her face.
Here we go.
Yeah. Anyway, one of my canning safety things is at the beginning of every season, you double check your canning times, because if you just go from memory, sometimes your memory's wrong, and then you've ruined all of that effort. Like, this takes time to do, right? So I canned beans for my garden night before last. You taught me a few years ago. Sweet. So you're one of the people who took my canning class and has canned. Part of why I'm doing this is there's a whole group of people who've taken my canning class and still not used their pressure canner because they're still a little hesitant. And I'm like, well, let's just do it live then. I'm going to sit here and snap beans for hours probably. It's actually a pretty good time. Snapping beans, it's a good time to watch. Like I should be watching, instead of doing this, I should be watching the rest of Spearco's compost course that I bought. Like, it's a really good time to watch those sorts of things because you can learn something while your hands are moving. I actually have been known to be on long conference calls while doing this, but I don't have long conference calls in my life anymore. Like, I think I have one call a week that lasts half an hour to 45 minutes now. And that's just because that's the self-reliance team meeting and we have to share things with each other. But we try to keep them fairly efficient. And so these beans are all like, I don't want to can them beans, but you know what I'm doing with them? Because they're totally edible. They just have some brown spots on them from, they got older than they should have been. And brown spots in canning get browner. So what I do is I'll do a mess of beans as a side dish tonight. We're having meatloaf, which actually I'm going to have to, once this is in batches in the canner, the first batch I'm going to do electric canner first, and then I'll do stovetop canner. Once it's in there, I need to stop everything, make the meatloaf, and then get it going in the smoker, which will put the heat outside and not inside my house. And then I'm going to make some gravy to go with that and green beans. And I have a saute I can do. I'm out of cucumbers right now, of all things. I was having a great cucumber time, and then the cucumbers are not coming on. Probably because it's 40 million degrees outside. It's an inferno outside today. So I will do those, and then probably a saute so that dinner's ready. And we're trying to eat on the earlier side as a general rule, and then do another push of activities at night. Because what we were doing before was just working until we drop, and then eating dinner, and then late dinners. When I try to go to sleep after eating too late, it's not great. So I didn't understand what that was like when I was in my 20s and people my age said that. And I'm like, okay, now I get it. Like the full tummy in bed, like, not great. So what have you guys been seeing out and about on the interwebs today? Anything exciting I should know about? I've literally been working on early bird ticket promotion all day just to make sure that we've gotten the message out to everybody who needs to know that prices are going up at midnight. And at this point, because there's only so many times you can say it, right? It is what it is. I can, comment back and forth on things. Our speakers have been great at sharing stuff, so I really appreciate that. And then tickets go up. And then they're more expensive between now and the festival. The workshops are on early bird through the end of August, by the way. My favorite timeline on green bean canning is to pick them in the evening and then can them in the morning. But the way my Thursday schedule is, that wasn't going to happen. I have a really cool call tomorrow with a friend too. So it's funny how 30 minutes a day in your garden can make a huge difference if you do it every day. Same for working out, 30 minutes a day if you do it every day. Anything good that you do every day for an amount of time is good. So when I finish this bowl full, I'm going to actually start getting the things going that make the canning things happen. It might involve frustrated noises as I try to find all my parts. You know what's missing right now is my canning funnel. Now I remember I put it away somewhere. And I remember when I put it there, I'm like, this is a new place for my canning funnel. It'll be great. It's not hanging up. Oh, I have another canning funnel over there. Great. My metal canning funnel hangs up on the fridge, so I'll use that one. You know, part of why I do this isn't because it's good on the budget. It's really because the stuff you buy at the store is not very good quality. Not good quality. Anything exciting happened at the Olympics today, guys? Stock markets are taking a hit today. What finally? I'm like, what started that happening? How bad? How's Bitcoin measuring up to that? I lost my magnetic lid lifter, had to improvise. I'm so spoiled. Yep. Full confession, I personally don't sterilize my lids if I'm pressure canning. They're clean, of course, but somebody just turned over in their. That's not what I teach to do. That's like choices I've made based on the science. So now I have all these awesome green bean ends that go into the compost. I have all my awesome strainers sitting on the counter. Okay, it is time to get the canner out. Oh, I have to boil water. It's time to start boiling water. Friday Eve, Pippinized. Absolutely. That green bean fell on the floor. It's not going in a jar. I also need some jars, some canning jars. The amusing thing about this is I had these canning jars queued up to can something. And then I didn't can it. This is a mayonnaise jar. I'm not going to can in that. I don't think that'll hold up in the pressure cooker. Yeah, I had all these jars ready to go. And then a whole bunch of this stuff happened. So then we're going to boil the water. And we're going to make the meatloaf while the water heats up. And we're going to get the canner started. I need to dig out the canner. So we talk about the like permaculture design of your kitchen, having the things you most use easily accessible. This time of year, there's like a turnover in my kitchen where the canners come out to the forefront and other things go behind them. Get that started. And a lid on it. Put a lid on it. Cool. So I'm using the Presto electric pressure canner. There's been some controversy about this because it's actually been tested officially. But if you don't just let it cool down naturally and you just let the pressure out, the times don't work the same. Like the testing is for letting it cool down naturally. So then people are all scared we're going to have botulism. But if you know me at all, you know I'm anti-botulism. So you need to get the water heating in this too. And one splash of vinegar. Splash. The vinegar keeps my hard water from making my jars powdery white, hard to clean. Wait time, welcome. I'm on a work break. Got to go back to it. I love canning almost as much as I love opening the tasty goodness in winter. Yep. Oh, Bitcoin's at 64. It dropped a little bit. Huh. I have the fold card, and you can use the fold card, and you get like, I don't know, 5% back or something in Bitcoin Satoshi thingies. And I'm just gonna make sure I did this right. Somewhere, oh, there it is. Nope, not quite. Had to find the line. So anyway, when I opened it up today, it's like since I got my fold card, which was like 2 years ago, Bitcoin's gone up 150 or 160% or 180% in value, and I was like, that's not terrible, man. And then it's like you've gained this much value on the Satoshis we gave you for free. So, okay. Pressure can. Ooh. Anybody know the canning time for green beans? I'm going to go get my book. Now, I usually have a canning cheat sheet in my kitchen, but since the remodel of the floor, I have not brought it back in. But the Encyclopedia of Country Living has always been good to me. So we'll get that done. Anybody know? You can type it in there too, and I'll still double check it because I'm funny that way. 297, page 297. When I have my cheat sheet, it's just like right there. I feel like it's 20 or 25 minutes. What did I say, 297? Yep. Planting, harvesting, and preserving. Harvesting, canning. I want a cold packet. Well, it says 20 minutes hot pack, but what is it cold pack? Now I have to go to the National Center for Home Canning site. Yeah. Okay, you know what's happened to searches? It's become really annoying because they've added freaking AI to it. And then I want to say beans. Beans or peas. And then it's bringing me to this page. Okay. Raw pack. Process time. Pints. 20 minutes. Quarts, it's 25 minutes. Okay. Alexa. Yeah, I don't have an Alexa, but that would be something you could ask Alexa. I wonder what she'd say. So we're going to dial this up to 25 minutes. Insert jars and warm. Sure, they're in there. They're not really in there, but it doesn't know. Okay, so I am going to put jars in to warm. I just got to fill them with water first. Actually, I think I need to get my ladder out and get more wide mouth jars. Okay, I lied. I have all these narrow mouth jars. I might as well just use them. My kitchen, John says my kitchen's looking good. It's, it's getting there. Totally getting there. I need to find 2 more narrow mouth jars for this batch. The thing I like about having these restaurant work tables in here is I can just put the canned goods straight on them. It's kind of nice when they come out of the canner. So if I were 2 more narrow mouth jars, I'd probably be, well, maybe those are narrow mouth, but they're probably wide. Might as well get them down. Yeah, those are wide. Still mystified about why I have a whole bunch of, what are they called? Why I have that mayonnaise jar? Like somebody did that who was not me. Our old wide mouth jar is better quality than new ones. 100% better. Yeah, maybe not 100%, but they are better. 100% yes. Ooh, let's bang that. Did it crack? Nope. I happened to notice a whole collection of narrow mouth jars outside, so that somebody just cleaned. And I don't know why they're there or how they got there. My theory is the redneck was doing something and he used to have narrow mouth jars and that's where they were. So I'm going to go get some narrow mouth jars. Be right back. Couldn't figure out why there were so many canning jars outside my outdoor kitchen. And the answer I got was that was all the stuff that the stuff was dumped out of. How do you tell the old ones? Well, you just, depending on how they're marked here and on the bottom, you can look up those numbers. This one is definitely an older one. It's also a different shape. Most of mine are new. Like new to me, so you know, I've been canning for almost 20 years. So some of them are recent new, and some of them are new 20 years ago. I got them new. Okay, now the lid's going to go on. There. Not going to clamp it down though. So now it's just about watching the pot boil. So we're shifting focus to meatloaf. And to do meatloaf, I need to gather some things. So we are going to use, I'm going to make a spice mixture first. The key to having dinner on time is to start cooking early enough. But a lot of times you'll find the old ones for sale used online, and it's like some old farmer is got them in their barn. Really look at those carefully, because if there's like chips around the rim, you don't want to do that. So now I'm going to get a teaspoon of salt and grind some pepper. Yesterday or 2 days ago, I made a meatloaf and smoked it. It was delicious. So we're kind of doing that again because I defrosted too much pork sausage for that. Then we're going to get some Italian mix from Honeybee's Kitchen, 1 teaspoon. Then I'm going to do ½ teaspoon of cumin. And I'm going to do, I like garlic, a whole teaspoon of garlic. And then we're going to get onion powder out. So fun. A teaspoon of that. So I need, that's the spice mix. Then I'm going to get mustard and Worcestershire sauce. And then I need a big bowl. So I'm going to put this cutting board away. I I did a bunch of dishes this morning and then cooked and had to do more dishes. It's like a never-ending cycle. Made homemade mayonnaise yesterday, so we actually used the blender. You know how you know there's not a bunch of crap in your mayonnaise is when you make homemade mayonnaise, but then that's the thing I always put off. So my plan was to use tallow melted as the oil, and then I decided that I would set myself up for success and use an oil which was easy to use. So I used avocado oil. But next time I will do it with the tallow. I really wanted the mayonnaise to turn out. Okay. And then this is the rack I cooked the chicken on yesterday. It was great. So it got like in the cookie sheet, it got air all around it. One of the best. It's the first time I've liked chicken in ages. This is what I was looking for. Okay. So I have everything I need. 1 egg. We'll start there. Got a little egg on my hand that time. That doesn't usually happen. So I've been cracking duck eggs all day, and that was a chicken egg, and I might have whacked that a little hard. Do you have an air fryer? No, I don't. I'm actually trying to reduce the number of appliances in my kitchen. And I decided that I so rarely need to air fry that for now, I'm just using the oven for things that are air fryish. But that is kind of what I was doing to the chicken. And I do plan to get a pressure cooker. And they make pressure cookers with air fryer attachments. And I've sort of, like, I had one. I used it one time and it broke. And that was like last fall. I was like, well, I don't need to mess with this right now, right? So that's where I'm at. Okay. Next step. Get the ground things out. Okay. Trying to let my hands dry from rinsing. It's really nice when you're making meatloaf to like wear gloves because then you don't get that all up in your fingernails. Oh, there's my other canning funnel. I knew I put it somewhere just to be safe. So I'm going to use not one of my glass Pyrex because I'm putting this in the smoker. And I find the Pyrex harder to clean after it's been smoked. So, and the funny thing is, these clean okay after it's been smoked. So this is negative points on the kitchen self-reliance scale because I'm using that thing. Air fried chicken is a game changer. Yeah, so when I had COVID, chicken and particularly white meat started tasting terrible. And it's reminiscent of rotten fish, unless you do like a heavy spice profile, like a curry or something. And so I just pretty much stopped eating chicken, and then we stopped raising chicken because we weren't eating as much chicken here. And so like we do American breast chicken and eat a few of those a year. And, you know, based on their own reproduction, that's sort of where we're at right now. And then I do a chicken class once a year here, chicken processing class. And this year I just bought the chickens from a farmer who does it. So it was kind of a win-win. I didn't end up with 20,000 extra chickens around I wasn't going to eat. And she got to sell me a bunch of chickens. So, and she does a great job. It's Hoff-Grid Homestead. Does a great job raising her chickens. So I liked that solution. Ooh, why we wear an apron. So I had, though, last time I processed, I already knew that I was having issues with the flavor of the chicken. And so I did parts them out, like all the hindquarters in one thing, all the like breasts in another, all the wings in another. And that that just meant that I've been taking out, I took all the chicken breasts out from that adventure the other day, and I cooked it in a big curry pot, and white meat being the least, it's the most distasteful to me. So I don't know. So I like dark meat better when I have a choice, and I always have. And so even with the chicken flavor issue from COVID, I like at least the dark meat tastes a little bit better. These are really hard to get off today. I don't know why. And this one's still a little frozen in the middle, so I'm gonna have to crush it up with my hands some. Contrary to popular opinion, you can still cook with slightly frozen meat, but it's harder to work with. So anyway, yesterday I took, I think it was pepper, cumin, garlic, probably dill. Yeah, I think that's what the profile. Oh, yeah, that was what the profile was. And then I mixed it with 2 tablespoons of baking powder, like for baking powder. And to that, I had some egg whites, because when you make mayonnaise, you separate the yolk from the white. And I used 6 eggs in the mayonnaise, and I had all these egg whites. So instead of dredging it in egg, I dredged it in egg white. So to use up what, because you cook with what you have. That's why I wrote that book. And what I had was egg white. I still have I have some egg white left that did not touch chicken. So I dredged the chicken in the egg white, and then I put it through the baking powder, coated it in the baking powder spice mix. I think, there's a teaspoon of salt and a half teaspoon of black pepper, not 2. That's where I'm at. I baked it at 400 degrees for 20 minutes on that rack I showed you, right? So that, and then I turned it over, and it probably went another 25 minutes at like 350. So it was delicious. I was like not expecting to like it, but it's like the level of I don't like it isn't like it makes me want to throw up. It's just not good. Okay. I've made a critical error, and I've wasted gloves because I need to open these bottles and pour them in here, and I should have done that first. So here we go. Anyway, it was delicious. Worcestershire sauce and mustard, a nice spicy mustard. You can put barbecue sauce in this if you want. You can put all sorts of different things. If you want to go like something a little different, do a lot of ginger and soy sauce. That's pretty good. So now I got to mix this puppy up. Might as well get that out of the way. Oh, are we heated? Cool. I'm not ready to fill the jars yet. My pot has not boiled. Funny thing about cooking is it's like you have to kind of multitask for it to work well. If you just do one thing at a time, you're in the kitchen a long time. So, okay. Now I'm going to mix all this up. It looks kind of gross, actually, but I always love those cooking shoes. They're like, oh, that looks so good. I'm like, it looks like ground meat. I mean, it looks good to me because I like meatloaf a lot. But usually I'm doing this behind me and the counter is lower. Is anybody cooking with me today? Or are you just watching? Tuning me out while you work on your computers. I want to know if Andrea ended up here and she's canning too. I actually like rotisserie chicken as well. Like one of the things I'll do if I've planned poorly and I'm out and about and I have to eat something is just buy a rotisserie chicken. It's not the best quality chicken. Like those chickens are not raised well, but better than going to Wendy's, I suppose. But I have a rotisserie here. So sometimes I don't want the braids in there. Sometimes we rotisserie a chicken here, and that's pretty good. I coat the chicken in spices and mayonnaise. I learned that from Jenny in our community, that if you coat a chicken in mayonnaise, it like holds the juices in, kind of makes it a more moisture bird. More moisture is totally proper English for Those of you following along in other countries. I'm being sarcastic. It is not proper. It's also a word that a lot of people don't like, which I think is pretty funny. Oh no, you said moist. Okay. Some people use a food processor for this. I use my fists. Nope, don't want that in there. Guess I should have tied my braids behind my back. They keep wanting to fall forward. I did braids today because it's so freaking hot. Usually I just have a bun on my head, but I thought braids made more sense. And now I'm like, now I see why I do the bun a lot. I feel like the messy bun is the official homestead chick hairstyle of the movement. Because you end up with, unless you have short hair, you end up with your stuff in a bun. I know a lot of homesteader ladies have just been like, screw it, I'm cutting my hair short. Right? Just watching while I work, wishing I was at home canning and doing home stuff. Yeah, I have a weird schedule. So I end up working on weekends a lot, like working to the level where I don't get to do home stuff, like last weekend. So then I actually purposely set this week up so I didn't have too much going and I could do some of the home stuff I would have done last weekend. So this is the meatloaf. Yeah, I know some people make like cute meatloaves half this size. They're not feeding a redneck. So I'm gonna squish it in my hand. You can go in the sink. There we go. One meatloaf. I wonder if I can get somebody else to start the smoker for me. Because it is actually time for this to go in the smoker, or it's not going to be ready till 1,000 o'clock. It's going to need an hour to cook, maybe an hour 15. It's 4 o'clock. Might make it for a 5:30 dinner tonight. We'll see. So this is where I really like having the gloves for that part. Okay. I'm going to page somebody and see if they're around. If only I knew where my phone was. Might not page anybody. Is my phone in here? No. It's in none of the usual places. The funny thing is, it's usually in my apron. I guess I'll just do it by text. If not, I just leave you guys alone while I walk out the door and get that started. So I just paged somebody. Let me see. Like all the four-wheelers are where they should be, so nobody should be off property. But okay, with no answer, if you want to stick with me, you can just look at my messy kitchen behind me because I am in the middle of canning green beans. And I just heard my phone go off, by the way. It's over there. And I'm just going to run outside and start the smoker and put this in it so that we have dinner on time. So I'll be right back and then we'll finish. By the time I get back, probably the water will be really close to boiling. So then I can put the beans in the jar. I'm going to actually start loading the jars and then we're going to get them going for the canner. Okay, meatloaf has started. Woo! I actually found the person I was looking for, and I'm like, you should put the chips in the smoker so that we have smoke. Now we're just going to reset the surface area here. I know I didn't put anything on it, but you never know. There we go. Anything else exciting going on in the network? Water not boiling yet. Kids being born. Marriages. The opposite of marriages. Okay. Beans. Now I'm ready for the jars. Now this one, they recommend you leave the jars in while you're filling the other jars. So, I've totally canned with this without heating the jars, by the way. I think my canning tongs are actually finally starting to think about needing to be replaced after 18 years. The hard part was the snapping of the beans. You don't cram them in. I will place them in. That's what I do with my fingers rather than push down. You want them loose so that they definitely get covered with the water in the canner. So, boom, one. Just need some boiling water. Boil! The problem is I'm watching my pot. So what have you guys canned so far this year? Anything exciting? We're working on moving to our homestead. Been a pain trying to move and de-junk after living in the same house for 14 years. Yeah, I can tell you something. I've been here 17, and if I had to get ready to move, it's a nightmare. I've actually started liquidating. Like, we just found 2 metal chairs in my yard that I got for free, right? That haven't been sat on the whole time I had them. They'd be great for decorative planters, but they're not ideal for country living. They're just iron. And Tactical's like, do you even want these? I was like, not really. So every time I see something where I'm like, I'm literally not using this for a while, I give it a little shake to let them settle in, you know. Then I've just started listing it for sale or for free, and if it's not gone a week or two, sometimes, like with my weird travel schedule this year, I've been letting it go a little longer sometimes. I throw it away. I don't usually list things for free, like sometimes I do, but that always turns out to be more of a pain in my butt than just selling it or giving it, or like I know somebody to give it to, or just throwing it in the dumpster. It's not my favorite use, you know, like things still have life. Bring them to Goodwill if they're Goodwill worthy. If they're not Goodwill worthy, though, like don't bring them to Goodwill because then they have to pay the dump fees for it. So, yeah, that's the thing. Okay, so what I'm learning out of this one is this bowl is going to give me 5 jars and be half full still, which means my next canner is going to do 7 jars. And if I fill this again, it probably will be enough green beans for it. And don't fill your jar like that. That's too full. Another bean or 2. So this one takes 5. You're only supposed to do 4 wide mouth in this. So 5 narrow mouth, 4 wide mouth. I think it's because the wide mouth are a little wider. Oh, we are so close to boil. That's great. Some people put salt in their green beans. I don't. I salt them afterwards when I'm spicing them. Like my curry green beans usually come from home canned green beans. been tossing a lot and thinking, why were we keeping this? Yeah. So I've got a bunch of bee boxes that we bought a couple years ago from Ken Esch. I haven't gone out to inspect what state they're in at this point for being just sitting here not used. But I'm going to give them away. I'm going to start doing like, I have a homestead liquidation item, give them to anybody in the community who wants them, who has a use for them. But they got to go because they're just going to go, like, they're just going to rot here and get like moths or whatever. Okay, these are ready. Boom. Okay, I heard water. It's never good when you hear water, but it was just a bowl overflowing. This one has a big gap here, so that one I'm going to actually, there we go. This one actually could take a few more beads. I found the gap. I fixed the gap. So 1 inch of headspace, 25 minutes. That's what we're doing here. And I need my cutting board. Isn't this pretty? I like this one. It's a good one. Okay. And the water is boiling. So we turn the heat off. I brought the cutting board over so I wouldn't put this straight on my wood counter, because this counter is not stainless steel. Oh, I need something to scoop with, and my usual scoopy thing's not here. Today, I shall be using a smiley face mug to scoop the water. Usually I use an espresso milk steamer, espresso machine milk steamer. Now we need to put lids and rings on. See, this goes back to the permaculture kitchen thing. My canning stuff is in a stupid place. And it's about to not be in that stupid place, because my butcher stuff was at the forefront. And what I need are narrow mouth lids. Narrow mouth. I buy them by the sleeve. Then we need narrow mouth rings. Boom. Okay, finger tight means don't over tighten. If you over tighten, you can facilitate a siphoning process that is not, that it ends up boiling out your jar. Okay, so this lid has a tiny little amount, like a spot right there. You see that? That is rust, and I'm not going to use that lid. Don't know how it happened. It probably got like jarred around, pun intended, and maybe like slid up next to another jar. Don't know. I just know that we don't want rust going in for sure. Okay. Next. Feeling around the top, make sure there's not like a chip. I'm actually seeing some of my lids. I've been wondering where they were. I over tightened that. Yeah. I also don't like slam them into the canner, because like if you jar the bottom, it can make it break on the bottom, and then all that work you put in was for nothing, because you're not going to eat green beans that come out of a broken jar because you might get glass and it makes a mess. If that does happen to you, if you do break a jar, by the way, in your canner, everything's fine except for don't eat the food that's floating in the canner. Take your other jars out, let them cool as usual. I'm going to totally sneeze. Woo. Then I pour the water from the canner through one of these, just in case there's any little slivers of glass, because I don't want to like pour that into my sink and then put my hand in my sink. You know what I'm saying? Like you can cut yourself. So that's what I do. I'd say I break about 2 jars a year or so, sometimes more. That's when I noticed like the quality of the jars had gone down, is when I started breaking jars that were new. So my old jars last and they don't usually break. Occasionally one gives up the ghost after, 50 or 60 years. But the new jars, a couple years in, they may start doing it. Okay. This is now in. And I'm going to say, go. So theoretically, it's doing what it needs to do. What it'll do next is tell me to put this on. I store this in it because this is the thing that, like, if you lose it, it can be the bane of your existence because it's tiny. Meanwhile, we will finish reconfiguring where the canning stuff goes. Butchering stuff, no! The season has officially changed. The canning stuff is accessible. And the spices go back. All right. Now, put that aside. Put that aside. And put this over here. This goes back on the stove. I'm going to need to refill that for the next batch. Now we're getting serious and the big canner comes out. It is now 4:15. And the fact of the matter is that at about 5, I'm hoping to be cooking food for dinner. So we can eat at 5:30 or 6. But what I'm going to do, because I don't have somebody who gets mad at me if dinner's late. So I'm going to start the second canner batch. And that requires getting the All-American canner. This one requires a ladder because I have it up over at the top of my shelves. Let's see what we got going on here. Oh, good. Again, this is the part you'll always lose. Yep, it's ready to go. There's nothing figgly in there. I love having a waiting canner. I also totally need it to be on the other burner. We're putting this on our biggest burner. Might as well fill this with, I gotta do dishes before I do anything. You guys aren't very chatty today. So when my mom comes to visit, I'm constantly washing my biggest pots and bowls here. I cook for 2 to 3 people usually. One of those people eats enough for 2 to 3 people, but still, it's not like a family of 10, right? So So I gotta do the dishes before I can use the sink to do the things that you need to do with the sink. Oh, okay. Haven't run the dishwasher yet. Oh yes, I have run the dishwasher. Don't put that in there. I get to unload the dishwasher too. Woohoo! It's actually nice to go into dinner with an empty dishwasher because then everybody can put their own damn dishes away rather than stock them in my sink. That works out well for me. Tonight, though, I think I'm going to make a gravy to go with the meatloaf. We'll see. Excellent. Now we need to boil more water for the beans. And we need to get more beans to snap. Start to boil over here on the electric canner. That's pretty cool. I also need to track down 7 wide-mouth mason jars, and I have 2 right now. So if Tactical walks in, I'm going to be like, hey, how many are out there in the outdoor kitchen? If not, they're all back in my canning shelves, I'm pretty sure. I have a bunch of boxes of them in Base Camp's basement, so I'm going to have to, do that. Go over there and get more, probably. Get this water boiling with the lid. Where'd the lid go? It's here. But wait, there's more. Where's my pitcher? Somebody walked off with my pitcher. Oh, is that where it is? Huh. Nope. Don't freaking know where my pitcher is. That's weird. Well, the blender works like a pitcher. Also need to get the water in the canner heating on the stove. My small garden didn't do so well this year, so not really enough to can. Maybe next year will be better. Yeah, mine didn't either, so I totally scored these by giving somebody money for them. Splash of vinegar. And I need to look to put water in here too. Make sure it's clear. Every year I'm like, where is this? Let's see. So this does not appear to have, I think I had a Sharpie mark on this side, but usually there's a little mark inside, and this one does not seem to have it. Make sure it should be about this high. So usually it's right on the side where the handle is. So I guess I'm doing, I have to measure it. So 1 quart. I think it takes 2 quarts. I'm going to have to look that up too. Anybody want to look it up for me? All American pressure canner. How many quarts of water? I think it's 2 quarts. Seems like about where the water usually is. I have to ask the internet. So what do we do when we don't have this? we're going to go with 2 quarts. That's super fun. That's not in the Encyclopedia of Country Living because it's specific to the pressure canner. This is getting really close to wanting the thing on it. So then I'll just let that sit on there, and then we start snapping more beans. What is the splash of vinegar into the canner for? Husband and I are new to canning. Oh, congratulations. I helped great-grandmother when I was younger, but we didn't have recording devices back then. You can can without the splash of vinegar, but especially if you have harder water, what will happen is you'll get calcium deposits on the sides of your jar. It's a white powdery residue. Happens with city water, happens with country water. And you can clean that off with vinegar, although I find it's harder to clean than just prevent. So I put a splash of vinegar in the water, and that keeps the residue from happening. But I'd say at least twice a year I forget to put it in, and I take the jars out, and I'm like, yeah, there, it happened again. So it's not something that makes it so you can't can the food. It's just something that makes your jars easier to maintain when they come out. And some people will use the same water over and over and over. See, this one had brown spots. Why did I put that in there? But I like to change my water once a day. Like I'll can with this same water tonight. I'll do probably 2 loads on that, and maybe 2 to 3, maybe 4 loads on the other one. It depends. The cool thing about the electric canner is I can set it and go to bed, and it just does its thing. So I usually get 1 more load out of the electric canner than the stovetop canner. Now, instructions on what size to snap the beans are 1-inch lengths, and then I reread it recently, and that's changed. Ah, okay, I see. Yep, we canned rattlesnake beans and tomatoes that we grew, and there was white residue on the jar. Yep, that'll fix it. It's funny, like I'm doing this live stream because a bunch of people who took my canning class, my digital canning class, haven't actually pressure canned. And so I said, well, let's just do an informal workshop where we just can together. And at the time I thought what I would do in my head, the idea was, hey, Saturday, I'm going to can green beans, and let's just, 10 o'clock in the morning, let's go. But then reality is that with my schedule, I haven't been able to necessarily plan very well. Plus my green beans didn't do great in my garden. And I have tomatoes to pressure can too. I'll be doing, I'm going to test out a Vivor tomato sauce maker this weekend and just see how it works, because I'm going to do tomato sauce. And you can pressure can or you can water bath can tomatoes. So, and I often will water bath can them. It just depends on what my mood is and what I feel like doing. So, I'll run some through that pressure canner, the electric pressure canner, and then I'll water bath can here and whatever. It's a very long time. So, yeah. In my head, I was going to be able to pre-plan it, and everybody would have time to make time and get their stuff. And I probably can do that later in August, I would guess. I mean, I have an herbalist coming on to talk about wild edible plants and wild herbal plants you can find around you. Later this month, I think it's August 22nd, maybe. It's a Thursday. So I had the funniest conversation with her because she's like, this day. And I was like, that's a Monday. I can't do Mondays. And she's like, it's a Thursday. She's trying to be nice to me, which I appreciate. I was like, I'm in the wrong month on my calendar. And I was looking at July. And yeah, you're right. Let's do that day. Found you about a month ago, and I've enjoyed the content and education. I have more binge watching to do on the channel. Thanks. I have an audio podcast too, Living Free in Tennessee, if you listen to audio podcasts. And there's a lot more episodes. So I'm on episode 936 is tomorrow's episode. And I would say the first 300 maybe, I did not know how to live stream video, and I was not live streaming. And then even when I learned how to do it, I didn't stream every episode. It was really during my time with Unloose the Goose that I got really good at streaming. And I was like, well, then I might as well just live stream the recording of all the podcasts because I don't usually just stop and go back and edit. It's happened a couple times live where I did do that. So, okay, so this has a timer going. In 7 minutes, I get to put the cover thingy on there. Anyway, lots of audio content. I've, like everybody, gotten better over the years at talking on my podcast. So what I find interesting is we used to talk about current events a lot on my podcast, probably because I was still working in public policy at the time it started. And so I was like knee deep in freaking healthcare reform and all that stuff. And now we hardly ever do, because the problem is if you tap into the news cycle too closely, you enter into a fear mindset, which is not good when you're trying to make your life better. But it is good to know what's going on to some extent. But what I found is when something big happens, everybody tells me anyway, and then I can go check it out, But I will admit that the last 2 weeks I've looked at the news because there was just so much going on. We have an election today in my county. It's the primaries. Facebook was up my ass about getting out the vote, by the way. They were sending an alert to me every hour or two. It was kind of annoying. Every bean that's spotty like this, I just don't put in the jar. That just happens sometimes. Yeah, it does wear on you. And there's a lot, there's a lot of pain and suffering in the world, and you can't do anything about most of it. It's better to put your energy on what you can do. We had crazy storms come through here. Not as crazy as it's ever been, but we had some seriously powerful wind and a lot of rain. There was flooding in Cookeville, which is near me. And I live deep in a holler, which is why we call the homestead the Holler Homestead. And the trees don't usually get affected down here by wind. It's usually up at the ridge. We get some wind, but it's not usually bad. And it was a lot. So what happened is on my little road, I think 4 or 5 trees were down across the road. And I heard about it from another neighbor who was coming home from work and had to go around the other way. And so I said, well, this is the perfect outing for the holler neighbors. Let's get our 4-wheelers and go down to the other end of the holler and go check out these trees and see what's up. So we do. And it was fun. We caravan down the holler. Get to the other side just in time to see my neighbor Gilbert riding up the holler in his truck, and his son was in the tractor. It was all cleared. So they weren't even down long enough for us to go check it out because another neighbor fixed it immediately. And that's something he didn't have to do that for everybody. He could have stopped at his driveway and just been screw the rest of the holler, but he did the whole holler because he knows that the rest of us need to get out too. And that's what I mean by do what you can impact in your community, right? I don't know where the dude is politically. Don't care. Don't talk to him about it. I just get along with him because he's a neighbor. That's it. Yeah. Kelly says, I saw there was a good bit of flooding in Tennessee. Yeah, apparently they got 4 inches all at once in Cookeville. So I'm pretty sure it drained very quickly. And then they had some wind damage. They weren't entirely sure that something didn't touch down. We've just had some extra level humidity here for this area, and then crazy storms related, I'm super excited though about all these green beans because I was I guess I need to really get my indoor greens growing operation up and running as much as possible because my summer garden hasn't done great. Okay. What's up, Chestnut? Have a little refuse pile here. More green beans. Hey, Chestnut, one of the green beans fell on the floor. You want it? It's right there. Look. funny thing about this dog is she'll actually pick that up and walk around with it for a few days. She's funny. She doesn't actually like them. My mom and her friends are on the world's longest yard sale. I told her she'd better take some rain boots. Yep. I heard that thing's really fun. We have some really like long yard sales here too. But that's not that far from me, I don't think. I actually bought a camper from somebody once who had that camper just so they could go to that yard sale. And a lot of spotty beans in this collection. Okay. Super dry and hot here in West Texas, 104 today. It's about 97 here today. And I usually can outside so that all the heat and humidity goes outside and not in my house. But since we're doing this live stream, I'm doing it inside. And that means that I have an air conditioner blasting right now. And my face itches. Tigger. Yeah, Texas is entering like the Hades month where it's just super hot. And we're doing the same. We had a couple weeks in July that were like that though, but it cooled down at night ish. But it was over 100 or 100 today. This is the first year that husband and I haven't gone and we're having FOMO. It's so much fun. But then you end up with more stuff. The first thing I ever canned was hamburger meat in an electric canner. It's so funny where we start, right? You're like, I want hamburger meat. That would be considered an advanced skill by some. Like I usually don't teach pressure canning meat till somebody's canned for a while. Okay, so now I'm putting this on. I always come in from the side and then I tell it it's on. 25 minutes from now, that will turn itself off. I have quite a pile of beans that are rejects starting here, so it may mean I don't need to buy any green beans at the farmer's market unless they're for canning on Saturday. I've got some people coming over Saturday, some good friends, and I have a butt I'm smoking. So anybody have a good like smoked butt recipe? I plan to start it tomorrow and smoke it low and slow. I don't eat vegetables. I do. I eat green beans. I'm mostly a ketovore, and this probably doesn't count as ketovore because it's like a fruit and probably has higher carbs. But in the winter, we have a tendency to have buttery curry beans or something like that as a side dish. Solstice gal, we don't have the humidity, guys. You have more desert-like, 25% humidity, so that helps. It does help a little. I lived in Oregon and Southern Oregon for part of my time in Oregon, and it was way dry. It's high desert, right? So much less humid there most of the time. I mean, yes, it rains, but not like, Portland, it rained. But even Portland in the summer, it was pretty dry when it was hot. Like we'd be like, oh, it's humid. And I'm like, I'm in Tennessee now. That's nothing. That is nothing. I had a really good egg today. It was a duck egg. The ducks are starting to put out again. Very happy about that. That's what breakfast was. We had leftover pot roast because there was one serving of pot roast left. I'm like, well, we can eat on that. And then I cut up a tomato from the garden and put basil and balsamic and salt on it. And then I did fried eggs. And that was about 11:30 this morning because breakfast is more like brunch here. And then we'll eat probably at 5:30-ish today, maybe 6 if this goes late. If it goes too late, then I'll put a snack out. But it's looking like we're going to have a mess of beans and butter and sauteed squash and pepper and meatloaf. The meatloaf does not have breadcrumbs in it because I don't eat wheat. I don't even use a bind. I used to put like pork rinds in there. I just mix the meats and the spices and bake it. In this case, it's being smoked. Our chickens have been protest for the heat. Very few eggs lately. I don't blame them. Yeah. the ducks were starting to molt, and then we've apparently once again attracted rats to the coop. So the rats will get into the eggs and eat them. So I believe there is a war going on with rats and eggs and chickens and all of that stuff. I need to go find how many more? 5 more jars. Now you would think that sounds like it's a hard task. It's not a hard task. I know right where they are. But they're not in my kitchen because we literally, this is my first day canning for realsies this year. And this is what I would call a canning palooza scale event where I'm doing 2 bushels. I'm 2 to 3 more of these bowls away from having the first bushel snapped, and I'll just keep snapping and keep loading and snapping and canning until we're done, because the other thing I don't like to do is let vegetables sit around and get old, because you don't want to can old vegetables, right? So I want to get these done. That means I'll be canning well into the night. It was funny, Joel Salatin was talking about what time he gets up and working on the farm in one of his talks that I was at. And he was like, yeah, I get up at this time, and my wife sleeps a little more because she sleeps a little later, because often she's been up until midnight canning. And I'm like, I know exactly how that happens. And then she sleeps in a little later the next day when she does that, just because the other thing is you get done canning at midnight and you go to bed, you don't go straight to sleep. It's not a thing. It's like you sit there and you got to like wind down and all of that. So, but there's nothing more satisfying to me than some home canned stuff. Like, oops, that didn't go there. I went to the wrong place in my pantry. And I'll be talking about that on Monday's show. That I'll have a total count of jars on the Monday show of how many green beans I got, because Billy had a good crop this year. I want to know what variety these are. I'll ask him. Oh, this is the best part. This is like why community matters. So I sent Tactical out to pick these up because it was while I was on the Tuesday live, not the Tuesday live. What was I doing? It's Thursday today. I was on a call. I was not on a live. So he went and got them. And, you know, he and Billy know each other, whatever. Tactical didn't even think about bringing the money. So I was like, wait, you left and you picked them up? How much did you pay for them? He's like, I didn't think about money till I drove up there. And he said he just talked to you on Saturday at the market, because Billy hasn't been selling at the market, but he has so much, or so many or like excess right now. He's going to sell at the market this week. So apparently he was like, I'll just catch her at the market. The answer is $40 a bushel. I used to get them for $20 a bushel, but inflation has hit the farmer's market, and I'm fine with that. It's going to be, okay. I'm going to go get my jars, and I'll be right back. I'm going to put that there. These are pre-washed jars, but we're going to give them a bit of a rinse anyway. I'm going to put my blender back where my blender goes. Okay, that's boiling, so I'm going to turn it off. It's not going to be boiling until I'm live. You can talk on my live. I'm just canning live. Chestnut wants out. So are there any wide mouth quarts out there? I'm just looking for whichever ones are clean by the sink out there. I don't need them right now, but whatever's by the sink, quarts, not pints. I would just put them in my sink. I just got a canning assistant. Isn't that awesome? I do feel accomplished when I get to can stuff. Did broth, peaches, and tomatoes last year. Yeah. Hey, man, source some stuff at the farmer's market if you have one, because, oh, hey, the water's boiling. This is perfect timing. I'm like literally going to fill these and put them in there right away. I actually prefer the wide mouth jars, but I have a bunch of narrow mouth jars. So, yeah. You need to go sideways. Okay. So we're going to do this. You can walk in front of it. Okay. You don't want to be on the live stream?
No, I didn't want to drop them.
You want to drop them? Get my handy filling cup because my espresso thing is over there and dirty. So we're not using that for canning. I may have to set up the station over here for this because it's like dripping everywhere. So this one's big mouth, guys. It's my other lids. I am going to set up the station over here. Cutting board back out. What are you looking at?
Comments?
Oh. Yeah, they're talking some. I need to check out the farmer's market. They really have some pretty decent stuff. Yeah? I mean, why aren't you... My timer hasn't started yet. I guess it's not hot enough once I put the thing... Oh, it's on at the pressure. That's why. When I put the pressure thing, it came up to pressure. Okay. And the lid. And then we put it in the canner. Beep. Now it is. I feel like I have a place for everything now. Imagine what it was like to do this when all you have is a little table to work on. That had to be a pain in the butt. Like, I have a fairly decent sized kitchen, and sometimes I'm like, I'm out of counter space. Anybody else feel that way? Like you wish your kitchen was even bigger? It's like you could never make your kitchen too big, I swear. Oh, my fill thing is right here. It pours better from the espresso thing. Milk steamer. And the really dumb thing is I have 3 of them, but I don't know where number 3 is. It's probably because I haven't unpacked my kitchen stuff. Okay, now that I see the jars in there, I am aware that more water needs to go in there. So now we're going with 4 quarts. I'm putting hot water in, guys, because I don't want to shock the jars. And in the summer, I turn my hot water heater up so I can do it out of the tap. It's kind of a weird thing I do. Because if I were to put cold water in there, man, it might crack like ice cubes. It would suck. So now, put that on low. Okay. More green beans. funny how like this couple of hours of my time feeds us for like days, weeks in the winter. And it's way better quality. 1 inch of headspace. The kitchen is too big only if it's divided zip codes. Yeah. I feel that. Like my whole house could be a kitchen. Oh, it'd be really good to put the lid on that, huh? Okay, 3 jars in. That water level looks right, actually. So this one probably has too many beans in it, so I'm going to take a few off the top, make a few go sideways. That's good. So something really cool happened yesterday, and one of the people from the Homesteaders Alliance, which is a group of homesteaders that like help each other out. I keep doing that. Posted that they're because it's by county in Tennessee. It's Homesteaders Alliance of Tennessee. So they're well, or whatever county in Tennessee. I guess you could probably do it in other states. I don't know. You have to ask her. She started it. Posted their chicken plucker for sale because they have a little chicken plucker. And I have a commercial size chicken plucker that's pretty darn cool. But with my change in taste, and then I'm not like trying to process chickens and sell them for money. And I'm not doing turkeys because my commercial one does turkeys. It's like a lot of times I hand pluck chickens because I don't want to clean the big plucker. I mean, I really like having it. Like when we do a class, we totally use it. But unless I'm doing like 12 or more birds, I just hand pluck them because it's so big. And so I've been kind of keeping my eye out for a little plucker. And she posted it, and she just got mobbed by people trying to buy it. But I got it first, so I'm getting this plucker, and I need to work with her on when we meet to do it. But super excited, and then I'm going to end up. I ended up getting the commercial plucker because somebody gave it to me to use because of what we're doing here. And I need to talk to that person. And then once I've talked to that person, like, do you care if I sell it? I'll sell it. Okay, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 more jars. This is actually timing-wise going to work out perfectly to where I can transition to cook the rest of dinner and be ready for dinner by 5:30 or 6, depending on how long it takes to cook things. Oh, the other thing is I like past Nicole made future Nicole's life easier and pre-cut all the vegetables for the saute tonight. So that's super easy. I just like turn the stove on and go. So what I need to do then is check the temperature of the meatloaf because we're on the timeline of the meatloaf right now because my side dishes are going to be green beans, which I'll get started first because I have to actually cut those. And then I'll do the saute. So we had a lot of discussion today about keeping your iron up on the Living Free in Tennessee Telegram group. And a lot of people were talking about how when you cook on cast iron, that actually helps with your iron. So I was thinking about that because I do all my stays on cast iron unless it's the hammered steel. I have a hammered steel wok when I do pad thai. How much is she asking for the chicken plucker? Well, she asked $175 for it, and it's a small one, so I can do like one bird at a time in it. which is perfect because I was just going to buy a new one, and they're like, you know, $500 new. So it was also a very good price. It's been used quite a bit in her area, but it's in really good shape. So, and I'm like they take care of stuff, so I'm super stoked about it. And it's one more thing that I don't have to, like, we're doing a lot of, it's weird. So I'm a homesteader, and we've been, you know, increasing in network size and doing things, whatever, better and bigger. And the one thing that is sort of happening though, is we're decreasing in size in some spaces by downsizing, because then it's easier to take care of. And that's one of the places where we're going to do that. Because if I'm not using it, then somebody else should use it who, you know, sells chickens commercially, basically. Okay. Now the All-American canner. Can you see? Kind of. The All-American canner has a lid with this little thing, and that goes under. You have to actually align it right for this to work. Okay, I'm going to do it this way. Okay, are you aligned right? The thing about the canner is it will not work if you get it catty-wampish. Like, it's got to be level and not tilted to one side. So when you're bringing up all these screw down things, I don't tighten them all at once, because then you'll end up sideways. So I'm just going to look at this. See, does it look straight? It looks straight. So this is a weighted gauge canner. And the way the metal is shaped, it doesn't need a gasket. Some people put Vaseline on it. Don't have to. But we definitely want these firm. I don't like strong arm them. Okay, we're looking good. So I'm going to turn the heat up. Now, what am I going to do here? It's a little hot. I'm going to twist it a little bit. With pressure canners, if you let them get too high in pressure, they have a safety plug that blows off to let pressure off so it doesn't explode. Which is why, if you're afraid of canning because it might explode, you don't need to be if you have a relatively new canner. So, one thing I do on my pressure canner is I put it on my stove so that plug is facing back towards the wall and not out towards the kitchen, because if for whatever reason something happened and it did blow and steam or liquid came out, I would not want that to be coming towards me. I'd want it to go towards the wall. Do you have a video on the big chicken plucker in action? Possibly. I think I have pictures of it for sure. And I've seen people taking videos at our annual chicken processing class. So, you know, if I had a bunch of people who wanted another one of those, I'd be willing to do another one when my schedule opens up after the fall. But we've sort of been doing one around June every year, which this year was when everybody did theirs. It was like chicken canning palooza was going on. This is not cast iron. So now we do all the green beans I didn't want to can, but they're perfectly edible. Yeah, so I mean, if I don't, I'll eventually, like, I have 2 people interested in it already, first of all. So I need to, like, let them see it. I need to talk about, like, to the person who gave it to me what she wants, and then go from there. That's sort of my plan. But it's funny, I have another account on YouTube that's just my name. It's just Nicole Sauce, that I started before the podcast was even started, when I was just starting my homesteading journey. And I couldn't really figure out how to use YouTube at that time very well. And I was taking some videos on the phone, and we made a plucker out of a barrel. And we called it the Holler Homestead Mother Plucker. And it's just a video of me running the plucker the first time with a basketball instead of a chicken, because I wanted to see if it worked. And in those days, you couldn't just, I don't know, like, maybe you could buy a plucker, but I don't know where I didn't find one commercially or like residentially available or whatever. I didn't find commercial ones either. I didn't find them anywhere. The internet wasn't as good as it is now, although it's getting worse these days. You notice that, like, you can't find stuff to buy that you used to be able to just enter the name of the thing and it would come up, and now AI summarizes what the thing is for you. And I'm like, I just wanted the store to come up that I put in the search with the thing and to go straight to the product. Is that too much to ask? But I'm not even using Google for that anymore. I haven't used Google's search engine for a while. So yeah, I made this thing, and it's just a like 30-second or less video. It's like the Holler Homestead Mother Plucker. It's a video. That thing has been watched. Like my channel has, that channel has like maybe 100 followers, maybe. I don't even know. I don't even use it. Haven't used it for decades or years, I guess. Not quite decades, but probably at least a decade. And so I don't have very many followers there. And then like that one video has a bunch of views because I think when people, like back then in the homesteading movement, you were having to DIY stuff like that. And everybody was like, okay, I got the kit. How do I make the thing? And you could buy like manuals with plans and stuff. You can still, I'm sure, build one and make them. But when you figure that a brand new plucker, like somebody who's here, go tell me what a plucker, a chicken plucker at Tractor Supply like goes for. I'm just curious. I think the Featherman, which is darn good quality, is more. But like, what's the price range for chicken pluckers? And then the question is, what's the price range for? Is this too hot to hold? No. What's the price range for just the kit with the rubber fingers and all that? And then you got to add your own motor. My suspicion is they're not that far apart. And so making the barrel, and you got to get the barrel. So, okay, this pot doesn't have a lid. And my other lid is here, right there. So I'm just going to boil those, and then I'll drain them, and then I'll spice them. So my only other thing I have to do is know what time we're actually eating and do the saute. And the saute is easy. The saute will take 15 minutes max. Yardbird is $5.79. Yeah. So there becomes this return on investment for your time, where does it make sense to buy the Yardbird, or does it make sense to buy a Featherman, or does it make sense to buy a kit? Like, how much is a kit on eBay for a barrel plucker? Plus the plans. Sometimes it's just better to buy the thing. So this is the pressure weight, and you see it says 5, 10, and 15 on that. Depending on which way you put this, that's how much weight is pushing down on the pressure canner. So this will get up to the proper pressure, and then it just sort of jiggles on the steamer. And if it jiggles too fast, you turn it down. If it jiggles too slow, you turn it up. But this maintains the pressure better than a dial gauge. But there is a dial gauge on that. But a weighted gauge canner, you're going to be at 10 PSI. And a dial gauge, you're going to be at 11. So the way it works is that up inside here, the way it's machined is that the hole is a different size. So for 15, there's like a little hole in there. Like you put it on, and then there's a little hole where the air comes out, and then it jumps when it moves the weight. The 15 little hole is smaller than the 10, which is smaller than the 5. So that's how the thing can weigh the same, and then depending where you put it on is what you have. Vevor has them for $350. I looked at the Vevor one, and yeah, you can get that done with Vevor for sure. In fact, I could put a link here, and I would get a commission on one if you buy it. I haven't tested it. They don't look as high quality as some of the more all metal ones, but that doesn't mean that doesn't get you through what you need to get through, right? And for $350, like, you can buy almost 2 of them for the Yardbird. So that just becomes is this one of those things where it's buy once, cry once, or is this one of those things where I buy the thing? And because I haven't tested that one, I don't know its quality. I'd actually be really interested to look up reviews on that because I do know somebody that has one that looks like the Vivor one that I should ask them if that's what it is. Because if that's what it is, I can ask them how well it works. And they use it commercial. They use it to like process 50 or 100 birds at a time. So it's not like they're not putting it through its paces. And they're like, yeah, we just got the cheap one because that's what we could afford. And I'm like, fair. That's how you get that done sometimes. So anyway, I think we've been going about a minute, hour 45. I want to thank everybody for joining me for my garden 2 hours while I got the green beans going. I'm going to sign off, but this one here has 7 minutes left and then it's going to turn itself off. And then I take the jars out. But before I take the jars out, I'm going to let it cool down. That takes about 45 minutes. So I just ignore it while it does that. In the meantime, I'm going to get dinner cooked. And then with my spare time, I'll keep snapping beans into the evening. But if I get what I do from here when I'm rotating through 2 canners is I just keep snapping beans. And my goal is to always have a full bowl ready by the time it's time to put beans in the next one. And I'll be through bushel 1 for sure. I'm sure I'll have those all snapped before actual dinner. So thanks for joining me. And I might do more of these casual streams over time. I'm obviously not putting this out as an audio podcast, but this is just kitchen stuff. And as we get the kitchen studio built out more, I could do like different camera angles and stuff. Make it a great week, guys. Hope you're doing something to make your life better.